Hello and welcome to the GrapeSEED official podcast. It's time for this and that. So as always, we have Miklos back on. Welcome, Miklos.
Hello.
Ooh, a very short intro on this one. All right. I wasn't expecting that. When we talked about what topic we wanted to cover on this installment of This and That, Miklos came up with a great idea. He wanted to have this big Wheel of Fortune-esque wheel built where we spin it and there's a bunch of lesson plans on it. And whatever it lands on, we talked about. Now, in the interest of budgeting and time, we did not go with the big Wheel of Fortune. So we're just going to call this lesson plan Roulette. And I've picked out a lesson plan here. I let Miklos know about it about an hour or so before we started recording, just so we couldn't dig into it too much. But we're going to look at this lesson plan and talk about it like we are teachers going in to teach it, discussing what things we need to prepare, what mindset we're going to have, just kind of as a model for teachers out there to take some ideas from when they do their own preparation. So we have here Unit 5, Lesson 12. This is the roulette that landed on this one for us, Miklos.
Excellent.
So if you're listening along here with us, it might be good for you to get out your own stack of Unit 5 lesson plans, or you can just hop on the portal and find them there. You can follow along with us and kind of go through component by component as we're talking through these things. So first up here, we have IC numbers. Now, just remember, keeping us both on the same track here, we're talking about Unit 5, Lesson 12 here. So we're a little bit into the unit. Students know some of these components already. They might not have them mastered yet, which is totally fine. But we're probably at the stage where we're succeeding in the quick checks that we have in the lesson plan for each component. And we're starting to get into the middle exposure quick checks and succeeding with those. So that's kind of the context that we're in here. So IC numbers. Looking at the lesson plan itself, we have to get the set 1 cards ready. So we're going to make sure we have those off to the side or set up. Then also the actual instructions here, we're going to teach it, teacher, student, the vocabulary picture cards. We're going to be singing the song, inviting the class to sing along with the second time, and then using those set 1 cards, ask how many lemons do you see? Any prep ideas you have here as we're looking at this particular set of instructions?
It might just be a personal thing, but I do think that it's objectively effective. If you have both hands free to gesture, putting your hands over your eyes and going, doing that universal gesture for IC, and using the other hand to point at the things that you see in your classroom, it'll make it way easier for your students to understand exactly what you're talking about. Oh, he sees those things. Great, I get it. And so for that reason, having the song card, because it's just one card, just having it, up on the wall next to you or on the board next to you, that you can use to to point to and and show the colorful pictures, but also use yourself to convey meaning of what the song means, and then have your set 1 how many things do you see cards right there below it, so that you can, instead of having to search around for stuff. And the mental preparation is the part in the lesson plan where the instructions where it says invite the class to sing along the second time, and that word invite is very important to me as in thinking about it as preparing as a teacher, because you're not going to force the class to sing with you. You're going to invite them. And some of them might not accept the invitation because they're not ready yet. Because some kids learn the songs very quickly, and because some of them may do REP at home more. And then some kids just need more time and they just want to listen. And that's okay too. You're inviting them. And then according to the plan, of course, the student's job here is to recognize the meaning of how many things do you see. And of course, some will have spontaneous utterances and some won't. But if we're conveying meaning and we're keeping the affective filter low, then they'll be able to recognize the meaning of that. And this isn't the first time they've heard this phrase, of course, it's just a new context and a different vocabulary. But just keep it simple, and also note the time. 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 3 minutes. Of course, that's a recommendation. But if you go longer than that and you start just drilling kids with questions, how many this, how many that, and And for goodness sake, if you start asking kids questions like if you start pulling out random things like how many chairs do you see, and there happens to be 30 chairs in your classroom, and they're not responsible for the number 30 yet. You need to keep it simple, keep it planned, and once you've finished what you've planned, move on to the next thing.
That's why we have those cards, right? So later on in the unit, we can branch out into using other vocabulary students know, but these cards are specifically here to help us practice asking and answering those questions. Now, that leads me into talking about these cards, which I wanted to do anyway. So using the set 1 cards, ask how many lemons do you see? Now, of course, when we're asking questions and the lesson plan suggests these questions to us, we also want to think as teachers about what the expected answer we're going to get from students are. Now, maybe if we were in the beginning of Unit 4's version of IC numbers, we might just expect students just to say 3 or 4 or whatever the answer is. But here in Unit 5, they've already had all of Unit 4's exposure to IC numbers. They've already had a few exposures to this particular version of IC numbers in Unit 5. So we can pretty much at this point be expecting students to answer in full sentences. How many lemons do you see? I see blank lemons, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. I'm sad to say goodbye. It was a good day, but now I will say goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.